Welcome back to the RPNcast, hosted by me, Tyreese Smith of the RPN. I have been pretty busy recently, so unfortunately I was not able to record last week. But in the near future, I will attempt to fit in episodes weekly or bi-weekly. But last week was a pretty long week, to say the least. I went back to the news at Penn Live, finishing out my summer with some trips. Additionally, I was planning for my fall rotation of work, so trust me, if I say that I am busy, that means I've been cooking something up. Racist Prep Network, also known as the RPN Factory, break it down to the RPN, specializes in working with prospective student athletes through marketing, mentorship, recruiting, and talent acquisition. For those who know my work by now, shout out to y'all. For those who are new to the brand, well, just look me up. Plenty of resources out there. But I will save you some time off the script. Again, I believe that it was the right time for you guys to hear me out as I provide some insight and education within the sports world and life. So those are more the reasons why I created this pod. In this episode, I will be discussing art. Now, it may not be the art that you were thinking of with doing arts and crafts in school, or to a further extent of me repainting the Mona Lisa. But I will walk you guys through the graphic design process that went on earlier this year. Additionally, all the networking and moving parts that were involved into creating my new logo, and having a discussion on pop culture, as I will tap you into the dorky, nerdy side of me. Shout out to Ty Little of Madman Media and Zoe Roberts, a graphic designer from New York City, for helping me bring my vision to life. Let's get into it. When I first wanted a logo for my brand, I had to ask myself a few questions. Did I want to incorporate anything with pop culture? How was I going to make this stick? But most importantly, can I make this simple, effective, and recognizable? Now, at first, when I was doing my research, I had so many ideas that I really did not know what to do with them. I don't know if you've ever felt that before when thinking through creating anything in life, but I felt stuck in a way. I thought I wanted a swoosh of some kind. I thought I needed a shield or maybe a circle of something, I don't know. But I think I was trying to look at too many logos that all sort of incorporate the same kind of symbols, you could say, right? But while I was trying to brainstorm ideas out, I wanted to keep one thing in mind. If it took me years to master a plan, I was going to follow through. Even if it would have still took me 3 years past 2022, or maybe it took me a year less if I would have got it done last year, I knew what I wanted, but I had to remain patient. But eventually, I decided on the wheel. Now, you may think, what does a wheel have to do with basketball, right? But it has nothing to do with car obsession, as that is a very expensive lifestyle. But for me, it incorporates back into my childhood. When I was a kid, no responsibilities. I can eat all the Cheerio bowls that I wanted to. But again, living carefree, the good old days of watching television. Back in the 2000s, I was a big Power Rangers fan. Now, don't cancel me out. I was about 8, 9 years old, but I watched a lot of television back in the day. You can go back to Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, or even some sports stuff that didn't really come into play when I was a teenager, but mainly when I was watching a lot of television, I tended to always watch a lot of Power Rangers, right? I knew every series. I knew especially the morphs, the fight scenes, the characters, and every theme song in the back of my head. I was a vivid Power Rangers fan, especially watching a lot of Disney era Power Rangers, such as like Dino Thunder, SPD, Mystic Force, Jungle Fury. Around that 2000s range of Power Rangers shows, I was heavily invested into shows that involved heroes, right? It's something that I looked up to growing up and inspired me into becoming the person that I am today. But out of all the Power Ranger shows that I've watched, ranging from the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers up until Power Rangers RPM, I would say that RPM was my favorite series by far. I would say RPM is my favorite series by far because it wasn't like your basic Power Rangers show where it was set in the present and the Rangers were chosen to fight evil and save the world, right? RPM was set in the future, but the cast had no choice but to step into them suits and save the world against an evil virus. The acting of the show, the visuals, to even the depths of storytelling within the series opened my eyes as it was something completely different from older Power Rangers shows. But to me, it wasn't really Power Rangers at a time. It reminded me more of a drama, like a serious drama that I've not seen before. And again, I was a kid, so my opinion would be a little bit differently here. But seeing something in the future and having to fight against like robots and a virus, like it was something so cool to me, right? But starring an all-star cast of Ika Darville, Rose McIver, Adelaide Kane, Ari Boylan, to even Dan Ewing, who was famous for a very popular Australian show called Home and Away at the time. To me, it was cool knowing that the actors understood the assignment. But the logo of RPM, which is a wheel, the Power Rangers gray logo across, and the RPM letters italicized sitting right under, I wanted to draw some inspiration from the wheel, but construct it as my own. And this is when I gave Ty Little a shout, and he helped me out. Ty Little is the CEO of Madman Media. Ty Little is the CEO of Madman Media. He has a Bachelor's of Science in Mass Communications and Media Studies from the Delaware State University. It's an HBCU in Dover, Delaware, for those who don't know. But he is a lifelong connection and friends since we were kids in the basketball world. I've always looked up to Ty growing up, but especially now as we are both navigating the world together, I've always found him as a great mentor, a useful connection, and someone with an older perspective who I can lean on if I ever need any advice or I want to further educate myself. So I appreciate his mentorship, helping me navigate life in general, but for even helping me out as a business partner, as it has meant a lot to me. Now, more on Mad Men. Madman was created in 2017 while Ty was still in college at the time, but it is a media and creative agency. Madman empowers brands to think like influencers. Their approach is to ensure that their campaigns forge memorable connections rather than just fleeting encounters. You want your work and connections to feel real, not having any fake partners or animosity along the way. They are committed to a nexus of creativity and having strategic insight. Madman is committed to crafting experiences that not only capture attention, but also resonate long after the initial impact. Now, a few of the things that Madman also has in its pillars or things they focus on are having a brand experience, creative development, brand strategy, memorable advertising, consulting, social guidance, cultural exploration, and NIL navigation. I have also been in talks with Madman about NIL opportunities, so hopefully you guys will be able to get to see that unfold in the near future. Now, when I wanted to get this logo off the ground, I had the idea to create a wheel, right? Taking it back to the RPM inspiration, but to incorporate it into basketball in a way. I wanted to design a wheel that had basketball lines written in it, but to also have the letters RPN inside of the wheel per se. So I reached out to Ty, believe this was end of March, early April, and the first person he recommended to me was Zoe Roberts. For me, at first, I was a bit hesitant. Again, big expectations for my logo. It was my first official one, and I really wanted a piece of my childhood to come out perfect, to remember the old times, but to stay innovative within, again, it's still being lifelike. It pops out on the screen. But for me, I tend to overthink. So again, trust issues come into play. But with the word that he gave on Zoe and her work, I couldn't say no. So I took a leap of faith. Zoe Roberts is a graphic designer at her self-named brand, Zoe Roberts Design. She is also a graduate of the College of Staten Island with a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration, Management, and Operations. Now, when I was going through this process with Zoe, it took a couple revisions, but for me, I wanted to get, again, the most out of my dollars. But seeing the potential she had as a designer, and also the words kind of putting me on to Zoe's work from Ty, I really believe that she can make my will come to life, and I would trust her in doing so. And I'm very glad that I did. Now, the project took about 3 or 4 different revisions to get the wheel as similar to resemble Power Rangers RPM's logo, but I also wanted to include different colors. Now, the colors I chose were black, white, and surprisingly, pink. Now, you may ask, why was pink being used as a logo color? To me, at one point, pink was seen as taboo, especially using it in the more masculine way, right? Pink has always been viewed as a female color, but for me, seeing it be used, especially in sports. An example, Enter Miami, which features Lionel Messi, one of the greatest footballers who ever played the game. That drew more inspiration for me beyond the wheel, where I was like, I don't think there's anybody at the grassroots level, especially with what I'm doing, that uses pink. All I've seen has been, red, blue for most teams. I've seen a lot of green with, I've seen a lot of green with travel programs and other content creators, but I've yet to see somebody use black, white, and pink, right? So why not take a chance here and do something differently? So when it came time to put this together, again, as stated before, took 3 or 4 different revisions, but I wanted it to be so spot on with what I've imagined, what I've been brainstorming the past 2 years, but to also bring out the best in Zoe, as I had a feeling deep inside of me that she can do it. And trust me, if I believe in you, then I really do like you. I really do see potential in what you're doing. So for me, with how the logo came out, I absolutely loved it. I was excited. I was happy, again, all the long nights of just staying up and thinking about my will. It came out perfectly. But credit to Zoe for, again, listening, for putting herself into my shoes, but also the professionalism that was displayed. There were never any complaints. I kind of went into coaching mode a bit, but she responded really well, and I know I commend her for her work, as I don't think anybody else would have been able to do that, right? I felt, for me, for so many years, it's been so hard trying to incorporate this logo because my ideas and headspace, I was all over the place. I really never knew what I wanted out of my logo and setting a logo. But I'm very glad that I had input from my sister Tia, friends, players, even so, and they really helped me put my thoughts together with how I wanted this piece of art to come out, right? So again, I really do thank Zoe for her work in creating the wheel, the use of colors, and overall, again, just the promotion, as again, it made my job a lot easier. So thank you to Ty Little for getting me connected. Thank you to Zoe for helping me bring my creation to life, but also the voices outside of my head for helping me bring all my thoughts together, as if it wasn't for y'all, I don't know if this would have happened. Now, the next step in the process of putting my logo to use is to sell merch. That is official, confirming from the source. No more pump faking, no more trolling, as a lot of y'all would like to say. I am officially in the works now of creating merch. I have been getting requests for so many years, even of recently, to drop something with pink in it by numerous people, whatever. But I am working on selling merch. I now have an organized plan, some free time I can wiggle on the side, but this is to give back to y'all, and I thank you guys enough. But once again, thank you to the RPN community for all your support, no matter, again, what I've done, what I've contributed to society, but also having my back as a one-man show, as it is not easy to handle at times, but you guys keep me engaged no matter which direction I am heading into. To keep up on all things RPNcast, episodes will be available on Spotify and YouTube. Unfortunately for Apple, they are making me pay, and to budget, I will not be doing so. Additionally, for my socials, I'm active on Instagram at myRPNLife, Twitter/X at Reese John, my name, Reese, letters JAWN, and of course, my site, as I'm always dropping surprises here and there. Thank you all. Keep embracing your journey, but remember to come as you are, as that's all you have at the end of the day. Thank you once again.